Engineers are critical to the design, development, testing, and fielding of systems and gear supporting our Marines. Chemical, software, systems, electrical, mechanical, all types of engineers make up the SysCom team who ensure our Marines have the gear they need to succeed and win in the battlefields of today and tomorrow. Unknowingly, many of those engineers got their start when at a younger age they participated in a STEM event. Science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM, programs and activities provide an opportunity for today's youth to have exposure to what a career in STEM may look like and helps ensure we develop the next generation of engineers. Today I'm happy to speak with someone who is passionate about STEM, the Command's Engineering Competency Lead and Federal STEM Action Officer, Ms. Joy Champion. Thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, listen, before we get too far into our STEM conversation, I'd like to find out a little bit more about yourself, how you ended up in this acquisition team of ours.
Awesome. So I reigned from the huge small town of Darlington, South Carolina.
Wow.
So many people may not be familiar with Darlington unless you are a NASCAR fan.
I was just going to say.
Yes. So if you're a NASCAR fan, you may be familiar with Darlington. And one of our claim to fame is that Days of Thunder was filmed in Darlington, South Carolina.
My youngest favorite movie. Oh, you just scored points there. So.
Awesome. So yeah, that's where I am from. I am currently married to a former Marine.
Okay.
I have 3 amazing kids. I have 15-year-old twins. They're rising juniors.
Wow.
And then my 10-year-old, he'll actually be 11 next month, will be going to middle school next year.
Fantastic.
So they are absolutely amazing. And so I ended up here at SysCom because I was a contractor for numerous years supporting the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So after I graduated from college, I worked in industry for a short amount of time, and then one day I got a call from someone saying that we wanted to bring you in because we have an opportunity for you in NBC. I'm a chemical engineer. I did not know why the TV company wanted to hire me.
I was actually going to ask you about that, but
I was like, I didn't know why, but at that time frame, the company I was working with, they'd gone through a reduction in force, so needed a job, went in for the interview, and was using my context clues. And when the gentleman said, based off of your resume in chemical engineering, I think it would be a great fit for this nuclear, biological, and chemical defense. And I was like,
that acronym world came undone finally. So
absolutely. So the light bulbs went off. And so if anyone's familiar with NBC, it's now chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear defense, so CBRN. So I supported CBRN for 12 years. Through a variety of facets, supporting Marine Corps Systems Command, MACATIA, JPMP as a science advisor, ended up doing safety engineering there, and that was my link to coming on to Marine Corps Systems Command as a government civilian through safety engineering.
Awesome.
So that's where I started my civilian career with Marine Corps Systems Command, and since then gone from supporting safety on the command safety team to supporting PMGBAD as a safety engineer.
Okay.
And then stepping into this role as the engineering competency manager.
Fantastic. Well, I got to take you back a little bit. What led you to engineering? What inspired you to go into this world of engineering?
Sure. So in school, I was always a good student, and I enjoyed math. I enjoyed science. I enjoyed math to the point that I was that kid in the grocery store with my mom trying to calculate everything we put in the buggy and trying to figure out what the total would be with tax when my mom, rang up the groceries. So I enjoy math. And then in junior high school, we had a career day one day, and the presenters were rotating through the classrooms. And so as this particular gentleman came in the door, he was very bold and confident and stated that if you're good at math, you're good at science, and you want to make a lot of money, you should become an engineer. So from that day forward, I knew that I wanted to be an engineer, but I wasn't really sure of what type of engineer that I wanted to be. I was involved with camps and STEM programs since the summer of my 5th grade year. So from 5th grade year up until graduating high school, I was involved in some form of internship or camp related to STEM throughout my entire career.
Did you do the Legos, robotics, any of that stuff? Or,
no, so I started out actually before 5th grade, going to 4-H camps.
Oh, okay.
And so they had the regular 4-H camp, and then they had a what was it? It was like an electronics version of a 4-H camp, and I remember doing a solar hot dog oven
got it.
at camp. That's the one that sticks out the most. And then in between 5th and 6th grade, I went to a program at the University of South Carolina. It was called a Talented and Gifted program.
Okay.
It was a 2-week program, and you had the opportunity to experience a wide variety of technologies.
That's awesome.
From film production to working in a lab to the art side of things, and just exposure to a lot. And so from that camp, I went to another camp following year at at South Carolina State University, and I can't remember all the different technologies that we were exposed to there, but it was a broad scope of technology. It wasn't just one thing, so it gave you the opportunity to get intrigued. If this wasn't for you, then maybe this may spark your interest. And it was also great for me seeing people who looked like me, especially at South Carolina State University, which is a historically black college and university, to see people who looked like me doing those types of things. So did a camp there, also went to a camp at Clemson University. So you get to see the scope of college campuses.
You covered quite a bit of South Carolina because you're going from one end to the other. So
I did.
I know because I had to make a trip down there with my daughter because Clemson was one of her schools at the time. So, well, I see a pattern there, and we're going to talk a little bit about camps later because I think you just can't seem to get away from camps. But we'll talk about that one a little bit later. Let me focus a little bit on you've been with several programs here. You've done a variety of things, obviously, started out as a chemical engineer, but you're dabbling in different aspects of the engineering world. Tell us a little bit about that and your experience in some of those. You think of an engineer, mechanical or electrical and whatnot, but you really have had the opportunity to broaden your horizons a little bit and touch on. Can you share some of those experiences with us?
Sure. In my personal opinion, that is why I love the chemical engineering field, because I think it is a very broad field.
Okay. So I'm not an engineer. I couldn't even pretend to play one, so.
No worries. As a chemical engineer, you definitely have the in-depth technical acumen of understanding what chemicals work together to be good or bad.
Right.
But within the curriculum, there's also electrical circuitry that you work with, mechanical engineering. So because I've had my degree has just opened up a variety of opportunities, and I think personally staying open to various opportunities is what has been very effective for me, and then trying to do well in each one of those roles.
It's got to keep it interesting for you.
It absolutely has. It absolutely has. There's also a lot of nervousness that goes along with switching up because you're stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you attain a certain level of comfort, certain level of knowledge, and then, hey, let's face it, we all get a little older, we all get a little more set in our ways, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I got to open a new door and do something different. And where do I jump in? Do I jump in down here, or am I already at the top where I was before? So
one example that comes to mind is when I, as a support contractor, I was supporting Marine Corps Systems Command, and then I had the opportunity to then support CD&I.
Okay.
So I am not a former Marine.
Okay.
I do not have former Marines in my family, so coming into the military, the acronym soup that DOD has was a shock. But going over to CD&I for me was very, very intimidating because it's like these are all current Marines. The person that I was replacing was a former Marine.
Okay.
So then it was like, do I have what it takes to be effective, to provide the value
Right.
in this role? And one of my team members told me after I got on the team, the value that you bring is that you don't have these preconceived notions of this is how we've always done things.
Right.
So you bring a fresh perspective and looking at the data or looking at the situation analytically or from a fresh perspective. And because I had the Syscom experience coming into CD&I, you're then providing the insight of this is how the acquisition community needs to use the requirements that we're trying to develop here. This is how they need them. So it all kind of works together. So that has made me more well-rounded, and I think has made me more valuable as I work in different program offices here, to not just see this is the current issue at hand, but understanding the requirement side and what's involved there. Once it gets to Marine Corps Systems Command and we work on developing the material solution, but because I've also worked at McAtea, understanding how they need to translate the whatever we're developing into something that's operationally relevant, suitable for the Marines out in the workspace.
That's a great depth of experience, and I can tell you, as somebody who, spent over 20 years in the Marine Corps and thought he knew all those, acronyms and thought I had that entire dictionary down pat, and then I came to this thing called acquisition, and it was a completely different ball game. I'll tell you, that's a fascinating background and experience level that you had. So it actually leads me to your other duties, which is the competency manager for the engineering. Can you tell us a little bit about what your roles and responsibilities are in that area?
Sure. So some of my roles as the competency manager involve recruiting, retaining, and training our engineering workforce. Our current engineering competency is about 500 plus individuals. I focus on is pertaining to our developmental employees.
Okay.
So those are individuals who are recently graduating from college or who are currently in college and are with us for an internship.
Okay.
I am also the awards point of contact for the engineering competency, as well as training for the engineering competency.
So how do you squeeze all that in? Plus you have a regular day job too.
A little bit at a time. Calendar is my friend.
So I gotta ask you a tough question.
Yes.
What's a typical week for you like?
Crazy.
Is that what your kids say at home? Mom's out there. Where's she now? She's at a STEM camp. She's, doing training. She's going to a school visit. Did I miss anything? I'm sure there's a few other things.
I would say my work week varies.
Okay.
But the gist of it will involve something for the development employees,
Okay.
Especially this time of year, prepping for STEM camp
Okay.
and our STEM activities for the next fiscal year, trying to think ahead on that. And as we get closer to the end of this fiscal year, looking at our training budgets,
Right.
and looking at opportunities that our workforce may need, speaking with the senior engineers or the workforce, and filling those gaps with the training that we have, because training funds are limited.
Right. So I got to ask you, let's transition a little bit, because I know one of the things, I believe the first time I actually met you was at a STEM camp. I believe it was during Sea Airspace, but I've seen your passion. I mean, it really comes through when you're engaging with those kids, young adults, old adults, anybody. I've seen you work in that booth and you're jumping from project to project. How did you get started in that?
when I started supporting the command and I saw the initial request for volunteers for the STEM camp, I was all over it. I was all over it because
your life was coming full circle there. I started
really,
these in 5th grade. Here I am
really,
a few years later.
It really was, because I have the personal tie to knowing how it impacted me. I was all on board for stepping in to give back to
That's awesome.
the next group of future engineers, wherever they may be. So I was all for it, and every summer thereafter, I volunteered that I was available. Karen Felton was previously in this role,
Yep.
and when she took a rotation, I was very excited about the opportunity to step into this role.
That's awesome. I admire your passion because, I don't know, maybe 15 or so years ago, maybe a little bit more, I got, asked to help out when my kids started getting involved in this. And I was just hooked from day one. And again, I'm not an engineer, nor do I pretend to be one. But just seeing the enthusiasm, the passion of today's youth, getting their hands on things and making things happen. I spend a lot more time on the robotics end of it. But my daughter dabbled in various areas. And the nice thing about, and you mentioned this a little earlier about STEM, was that, it wasn't just you focus here, you do different things to bring the whole concept together. So
Indeed.
I commend you for what you do. I think that's phenomenal.
Thank you.
And I think in many ways people lose sight of the fact that you're really working extremely hard to plant those seeds that will bring those engineers. Not that we're doing a recruiting campaign or anything here, but ultimately that's what it leads to. We have a lot of young engineers here, and I'm sure you've heard some of their stories and how they got started. So continue to do what you're doing in that front. But I got to ask you about you're a federal STEM action officer.
Yes.
What does that entail?
That means that I am Marine Corps Systems Command point of contact for all things STEM.
Okay.
So STEM outreach or anything that's involving STEM within the command, I am the point of contact for that.
Transition real quick. You also run a STEM camp here at Quantico. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Okay, I'm going to dedicate the rest of the show to the Quantico STEM camp. So if you all are listening, pay attention.
Yes, this year is the 11th year
Wow.
of Marine Corps Systems Command Summer STEM Camp.
Okay.
It is a camp that we do in partnership with Quantico Middle High School, and it is for rising 6th through 9th graders. The large focus is to provide a camp for our military-connected students on the base, but when we have additional space within the camp, we do open it up to the children of Marine Corps Systems Command and PEO staff.
One of the ladies that worked in my office a few years ago had her son involved in that, so I know it's open to a few folks from outside just this Quantico community. So
yes, and the STEM camp is funded through the Office of Naval Research.
Okay.
Their Naval STEM Coordination Office provides annual funding for STEM efforts. So the camp is actually free to all of the participants. The camp involves a wide variety of hands-on activities to inspire, engage, excite the participants to be excited about STEM.
Yeah. Can you just share with us some of those activities? Maybe get a little more in depth and what open their minds to.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I'm jealous because none of my kids' STEM camps were free, but that's okay.
Well, last year we tied the theme of the STEM camp into the Mars rover landing on the moon.
Yeah.
So the kids had the opportunity to use Lego Mindstorm kits to develop a rover, and then they also had a drone that they were able to program.
Wow.
And the culminating event for the camp was to be able to have the drone fly through a series of obstacles, land at a particular place, and then in theory drop off a payload. And then the Mars rover then had to terrain over a series of obstacles in order to complete the activity.
So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but those sound like programs we at Systems Command are pursuing right now. Yes. I mean, autonomous vehicles, delivering things, hopefully not to Mars just yet, but, in the battlefields of the future. Yeah, tell us a little bit about some of the activities you all do at the STEM camp.
Absolutely. So some of the activities that we will be initiating actually this summer, because the theme for this year is alternate energy sources.
Okay.
So we have solar energy, and we actually have a solar racer that the kids will be producing. Wind energy, so they'll be working with a wind turbine. Chemical energy, so they'll get to develop these little putt-putt boats. Kinetic energy, so they'll have a mousetrap powered racer that they will build and then get to execute through different activities. Biofuels, so this year I actually partnered with the United States Naval Academy.
Oh, okay.
And they will be coming down for one of the days during the STEM camp with some of their midshipmen to conduct an activity on biofuels, and they're actually going to create a gasometer.
Okay. I'm not even going to ask what that is, but I will say I just want to throw a plug out there. We do get some Naval Academy midshipmen here from time to time. I know the PEO has hosted several over the years, so it's great to see they continue to come back. So outstanding.
And then the two other activities, hydroelectric energy, so they'll be working with a hydropower turbine, and then the last one is aerospace engineering, where they will get to have an activity in rocketry.
So you sure these are just like 5th and 6th graders and not seniors graduating from high school?
These are rising 6th through 9th graders, and we take them from not knowing anything to guiding them through each of the activities, making sure that they're also fun, and hopefully that they learn something and get inspired to do something different or to do something with STEM.
So I know you don't do this all by yourself. So how large of a team do you get, and where do these folks come from?
The team of individuals that I have supporting me developing these activities in the STEM camp come through the command, and they are volunteers. So I have what I consider a core STEM team.
Okay.
And two of the individuals have been supporting the STEM camp for the past maybe 7-8 years.
Wow.
Can I give a shout out to the individuals?
Absolutely, and the reason being is because they're passionate. Because they also have a day job too, so
they
absolutely.
They
shout away.
So Tom Carroll, Mark Jackson, Kathy Halo, Johnny Henderson. And you mentioned that you don't have a STEM degree. Johnny Henderson actually works with our international programs team, but she is passionate about the kids and helping out, so she has become a part of our core STEM team. Nok Nguyen, she is a developmental employee. She started with the command last summer. She is a Naval Acquisition Development Program employee. She's very involved with the command. And
already starting to pay back a little bit.
Already starting to pay back. And Julia Morgan.
Okay.
So those individuals have been extremely instrumental. So we'll have meetings every other week to pull the activities together and get the STEM booklet together. I'm in charge of ordering supplies. I also have our contractor support, Amanda Burfield, who's been very instrumental in helping to keep everything organized. The public affairs team here.
I got to give a shout out to my team. Cassie and Andrew do some great work putting some of those products together. So
absolutely,
that's a self plug. I'll put that one in there for my.
I will echo their praises.
Well,
they are absolutely fantastic, and so it is definitely a team effort.
Yeah, I know the employee I was talking about earlier, Mo Randolph. Her son was involved in STEM. So when the camps were going on, so I got to run up there, see what they're doing, So she was pretty intimate about that. So again, kudos to you and the entire team for all the great things that you're doing for our youth and the future engineers, whether it's engineers at Syscom or engineers at NBC or some other outlet that they may be working at. So
Yeah.
I know you did Sea Airspace this year.
Yes.
And just from my personal experience, as the individual outside the booth looking in, you all keep growing. You all keep doing a great job up there. What was your feedback this year from spending an afternoon up there engaging with those kids?
The feedback was that Sea Airspace grew.
Okay.
We sold out the event, so there were 2,600 students
Wow.
that came through Sea Airspace this year.
You know, they were hoping for 500 the first year they did that, and they got like 12 or 1,300. So
Wow.
kudos to you and the team. So that's awesome.
It has grown tremendously. The volunteers from the command who assisted at the booth were 100% engaged, were absolutely amazing. I could not have done it without them. We were able to provide hands-on demonstrations for the kids. We had vests for the kids to try on, helmets for the kids to see, touch, and feel. We had a thermal radar there for the kids to see, touch, feel, look through, some interactive, what they thought was a game, but they were actually reaction lights that the Marines use to check their difference between when they're geared up and masked up versus not. The kids and the parents seemed to be very pleased by the results, and I had a couple of parents that came and talked to me on the side and was just very, very appreciative for the command being there, for the opportunities, for talking to the kids, showing the kids opportunities. They were very, very appreciative.
So again, I may be a little partial and biased to the command and to our Marine Corps, but I got to tell you, it was nonstop at your booth. I think it's fascinating how you incorporated the things that the engineers do here on a day in and day out, whether it's the PC Gen 3, the vest that the Marines wear, whether it's incorporating what I thought was a light game. Kids slapping the lights to figure out their reactionary time, but incorporating all of that into a fun-filled, engaging event for those kids. And I got to tell you, a lot of the parents, because I did watch a lot of the parents. You got to get in there. You got to go try that. Go, and I think they were living vicariously through their children. I'm just, that was just my observation. But congratulations once again on a fantastic environment or event. And I hope you can continue to do that. So I got to ask you, you're a successful woman in STEM. What advice would you give other young ladies out there looking to potentially go into the same career path that you've taken?
Go for it. Go for it. Do not be swayed by it being hard, because it will be hard. Let's manage expectations. It will be hard, but it is doable. Every day, women are graduating with a STEM degree. Every day, women are being successful with a STEM degree. All of those women went through school. It was challenging, but you don't go into college day one with them expecting you to know the same things that you will know once you graduate. As with anything, you're taught, you learn, you grow. It is absolutely doable. The world needs more females in STEM, and I wholeheartedly encourage any female to go after it, because we are absolutely needed.
I couldn't agree with you more. As somebody whose oldest, my daughter, got involved early on, and all those years later, that initial passion resulted in kid who graduated from college, from university with a degree in sciences and teaching sciences. So it's incredible, the passion, desire, and the quality of product that they put out. So I got to ask you, what's the best part of your day?
Seeing my family. I am a huge family-oriented person, so the best part of my day is seeing my family.
What do they think about the work you do? They get to share in a little bit.
They think it's pretty cool. They think it's pretty cool. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, Mom, you're working too much," but they ultimately think it's pretty cool. My oldest son has already decided that he wants to major in mechanical engineering.
Wow.
So there's a win there.
Good on you.
His twin sister is a little undecided right now. She's thinking about either becoming a physician, a lawyer, or a psychologist.
Well,
The world is the oyster. Her oyster.
absolutely. And you know, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up. So, I mean, there's an opportunity for anything that they want to do in today's youth. I mean, the world is wide open to them.
It really, really is. And I strongly encourage whatever their passion is. Like my youngest is very big into Legos.
Okay.
So encourage that passion. Get the Legos. Just continue to inspire that hands-on manipulation, because a lot of times you're doing something and you just think it's fun, but you don't really realize that you are developing, honing skills that will make you so much better when you get older.
Slight recommendation for those out there considering the Legos: find a room and dedicate it just for that. As somebody who's got closets full of Legos, so. But no, I think it's fantastic. Again, from personal experience, I watched mine grow up, and you just take such great pride in the things that they do, the imagination that and the wonder they create through those things that we think of as toys.
Correct.
But in many ways, it's not toys. It's an education into the future. So, well, listen, I got to tell you, this has been extremely fun-filled. Hey, I'm gonna give a shout out to your kids, because I know they go to school and say, "Hey, my mom runs a STEM camp. You should see what she does." But no, I think you're a phenomenal team member here. Just on my limited experience, I've seen you give back so much. So
thank you.
I thank you for what you do for the youth here in the surrounding communities and throughout. But before I let you go, there's a little thing we do at the show here before we let our guests go, and that's the lightning round. Are you ready for some tough questions?
I am ready.
All right, well, let's see how we do here. What's your favorite vacation spot?
Jamaica and Dubai.
Jamaica what?
Jamaica and Dubai.
Oh, I've been to Dubai, haven't been to Jamaica. What's a TV show, book, movie, or podcast you'd recommend?
I am the world's largest Wheel of Fortune fan.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Every night, 7 o'clock.
Yep. We had the same thing, 7 o'clock Wheel of Fortune, 7:30 Jeopardy. So I just take both of them in stride.
Yes.
And it kills me when they can't solve the puzzle and there's only one or two letters left. But listen, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
Dancing.
Okay, I was going to say maybe singing, but dancing.
I love dancing.
Awesome. And finally, this is a very important one, all right? If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
That's a good one. Well, this is lightning round, so I need to come up with the answer fast. To read minds.
Oh,
yes.
That's a good one.
To read minds.
Wow, that really is a good one. I don't think we've had that one. Well, listen, I wish I could read a few more minds. Probably keep me out of trouble, at least with some of my team anyway. Listen, Joy, it's been fantastic to have this conversation.
Thank you.
I hope folks are listening and paying attention. I hope they get the little ones to listen and think about a career, maybe a future in STEM. You get the opportunity to participate in a camp out there, take advantage of it. It really does open up a lot of doors to different things. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I wish you continued success, and I look forward to another great STEM camp.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Well, this concludes another episode of Equipping the Core. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation today. If so, please take a couple minutes, leave us a review, subscribe, tell your friends about us. Till next time, Manny Pacheco signing off.